What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punteri. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, things are not good. Things are pretty much the complete opposite of good. They fall 31-28 to the Chicago Bears in the Windy City, a game that did not look disastrous by no means. It was not a game where the Steelers were embarrassed or everybody left this thing talking about how they might be a terrible football team. No, it was a game where they scored 28 points against a pretty good football team and they lost. But it was a reminder, a swift one that has continued throughout the season, that the Pittsburgh Steelers may not be a very good football team anymore, and this season may not end the way people thought it once would. And we'll dive into all that, where the locker room is and how things are getting worse and worse by the second, where the Steelers go quarterback next, and if anything is going to change. It's a good one here in the Berg. I put out my Santa the other day, figured it'd bring a little joy. Didn't happen. Bad timing. How you feeling, my friend?
I gotta say, I'm not doing too bad, especially coming off a pretty crappy loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Something that is helping is that I did write out, the old Thanksgiving menu for this week, and I'm looking at it on my whiteboard right now. We were doing a little organization with the family earlier, so we had to get some ducks in a row, and boy, oh boy, that's a good looking menu, I gotta say. So that's kind of giving me some life here in what would otherwise be just a pretty bad anti-victory Monday.
It's anti-victory Monday. I think we all needed a little bit of something today. I spent my day cleaning. I feel like cleaning always distresses, you know what I mean? And working, obviously, have meetings throughout the day. But in my free time, about an hour and a half before the podcast, I said, you know what? I'm going to run to Target and I'm going to buy my wife a little something for Christmas, because I needed a little bit of Christmas cheer to get over what was yesterday and what has been the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I feel you. It's all about how you make the most out of the rest of it. And, well, the Steelers aren't giving us much. We're going to start today by talking about where the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers stand and how bad things may be getting between the Steelers, their players, and this season. The Steelers put together a team that they believed was a Super Bowl contender at the beginning of the year. Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith. You went out and got DK Metcalf. It looked like this was going to be a team on the rise with plenty of upside. They now sit 6-5. They are in second place in the AFC North. Their playoff chances may be all but over, and we'll dive into that here in a second. But players are talking. People are talking, and it does not seem good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start on where things are, because nobody wants to recap a game that was yesterday. Once again, what we want to do is talk about how bad things are moving forward. You got two very telling quotes here, one from Patrick Queen, one from Ray Fittipaldo. I want you to read them both because I think they speak volumes where we sit today.
You got it. I'm going to start off with Ray's because that's what I have opened first here on my tabs. Shout out Ray Fittipaldo here. He described the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room as, it's not a pissed off locker room anymore. It's almost a locker room of resignation. It's almost like they realize they can't fix what's going on, or they're unable to fix what's going on. I don't see this getting much better over the last 6 games of the regular season. And then I'll quickly add on to that with starting linebacker Patrick Queen, who was asked, how did the Bears do this to you guys? How did they score 31 points? And he said, amongst other things, I think sometimes it was schematic issues that we had. It's kind of hard for 2 guys that are underneath defenders to try to guard 2 routes. That's overhanging off the hashes and stuff. As much as you know it, you're trying to play the run. You try to get back to a bang or whatever it is. It's hard to do that. It's kind of a bad spot to be in. But at the end of the day, we just have to be better.
Yesterday, when I was on the pod doing the recap, I think everybody brought up, why was Malik Harrison on the field so much during passing downs? And it was a very small glimpse into questionable decisions for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you watch the video of Patrick Queen, and we'll dive into Ray here in a moment because I think it segues well. And me and you were talking about this right before we got on here. If you watch the video of Patrick Queen talking and saying this, he's got a look on his face of, I would really love to say that the coaches screwed us today, that the coaches were the reason that we looked as bad as we did. And I don't think he is alone. I genuinely think that the way we are sitting here today, that there are a lot of people in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room that are looking at this defense and looking at this coaching staff and thinking, why are we so bad when we are so good? And on paper, the Steelers are a great football team. And quite frankly, I don't think that they're a bad football team that just looks good on paper. I just think they're a bad football team. I think they are coached poorly, which leads to poor execution, both in the field and obviously during the classroom sessions and during practice, because they're never ready to go on Sundays. I mean, 60 games in a row, the Steelers have only scored 7 or fewer points in the first quarter. 60. We have hit a point where the stats are so alarming that you can no longer look at it and say, well, the Steelers just have bad rosters. No, I think we're at a point right now where the Steelers have good rosters and bad coaching. And I think that's where we're at here. Patrick Queen, I think, said a lot. I believe that there are many others in that locker room that follow suit on this. And I think we are. I don't think we're getting close. The Steelers would never have a moment where the locker room freaks out and, you know, you have all these players saying, oh, this is Mike T. They've defended Matt Canada till they were blue in the face. You know what I mean? Blue in the face. And they will do that with everybody. But there are signs to show you that they are saying one thing and believing another. And I think we're nearing a point where this locker room is starting to lose faith in this coaching staff. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, look, I'm at the facilities once a week, and I talk to Jalen Ramsey and I talk to TJ Watt, and I've heard the same thing for 13 weeks now about, you know, what they have to do to be better. And while part of it is true, and I wrote about this today, yes, of course, execution is a huge piece of the puzzle, right? Like that you have to go out there and do it. But Patrick Queen's response, as you kind of alluded to, I found to be so telling, and he's saying a lot of a lot of the stuff that is talked about behind closed doors out loud in that brief sentence. Like, he's talking about how going out there and putting yourselves vulnerable to having two middle linebackers like a Malik Harrison next to Patrick Queen, trying to figure out if they have to pick up two guys crossing behind them or if they're committing to the run, is a very tough spot to be in. We see not only that, but we've seen consistent miscommunications, whether it's the play calling coming through Patrick Queen, going out to the rest of the defense, or whatever happens in between that and the moment of the snap. There's been so many issues that point to it's not just the players going out there and failing to make tackles. Yes, there's an ineffectiveness at times of TJ Watt as he continues to be the most chipped player in the league. There are moments and games and stretches this season where we could all go, where is Cam Hayward? There's moments where Jalen Ramsey has not felt very effective. The secondary is the second worst in the NFL in terms of average passing yards allowed, but that also falls heavily on the coaches. And what are they going out there game planning for these other teams? How are they expecting and preparing week in and week out? I think it continues to be called into question this season. So yeah, I think the problems are multifaceted. It's not just the roster. I don't think the roster is as Super Bowl worthy as they thought it was when they built it in the summer. But I also think this coaching staff has failed to maximize what maybe some other better coaching staff right now could maximize with this group on paper. So I think it's just it's multifaceted. It's a lot, but I think the thing that stands out the most right now is that Tomlin is not only not being honest in a Tomlin way, but
yeah,
just not even seeming like he's in connection with what's going on in reality on the field. He called Caleb Williams a highly accurate quarterback in his post-game presser yesterday. I wrote it down.
he was not a highly accurate
of 35, 54%.
Yep.
When did he watch?
We've hit No, you're right. We've hit a point where we know exactly what Mike Tomlin's going to say and when he's going to say it, and I think everybody else has too. And I don't think that the message has ran stale. I genuinely think that it only works when it's working. That the message of Mike Tomlin, the Tomlinisms, the who Mike Tomlin is as a coach only works when it's working. And when it's not working, you have a bunch of guys sitting around going, dude, if you tell me to squash grapes one more time, I'm going to lose my damn mind. I'm a freak out. You know what I mean? Like, could we just make adjustments? That would be awesome. And I think that's what we're hit is it only works when it's working. I genuinely think the Steelers thought that they had, and this is what would bother me the most as a Steelers fan right now, is that the Steelers thought they had it figured out. They thought they had a team. They thought they had a Super Bowl worthy team coming into the season. They felt great about it. I mean, right now the Steelers are an 8-9 football team. I very seriously believe that if you were to ask me today, where did the Steelers finish? What is their record? I'd put money on that it's 8-9. That this is the first losing season of Mike Tomlin. Because this looks worse than the last seasons of Mike Tomlin. This looks worse than where the Steelers were. Because this is not a team that has the highs and the lows. There are barely any highs. The highs come against the Cincinnati Bengals and the bad teams. They are a middle-class team who does not play well against other middle-class teams. That's what they are. And I would guess they finish 8-9 and that the season is very much so over. That's how I view this. And I mean, that's what bothered the Steelers put the pieces together. It is here's my biggest, and I don't want to keep ranting about Mike Tomlin, but I think it's also justified. I get calls constantly that like people who genuinely love Mike Tomlin in the NFL, whenever they talk to you, they want to remind you that the Steelers have won a lot of games with some really bad teams. And it's hard. You can't disagree with it. I think the Steelers have won a lot of games under Mike Tomlin with really bad teams.
For sure. But
the last 2 years, and I think many other seasons as well, but not just the last 2 years, it's new names. It's good names. There are a lot of star power coming in and out of the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room, and the result is exactly the same. And when that's the case, you got to look at the same person that's been here, and that's Mike Tomlin. You know, like that's the issue. I want to ask you a question here.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, you had people say that the Steelers fan base was spoiled because they only knew what winning seasons were and how hard they don't understand how hard it is to have a winning season. Mm-hmm. Do you genuinely believe that Steelers fans are still spoiled, or do you think they've hit a point? Because I think at one point that was the truth. Or do you think at some point it became they are no longer spoiled, that this is actually pretty brutal to go through every single season?
I guess, I mean, I don't know if spoiled is I think the anger is justified. Like spoiled to me seems to indicate or carry this sort of connotation that there's no gratefulness for what is in front of you. You know, there is no ability to sort of reflect on that. And I think Steelers fans are very aware of what they have in front of them. I think the feelings of frustration are becoming just too much and are becoming far greater than the sentimentality and the emotional connection that many of us have to Mike Tomlin and to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like you just get to a point where with anything where it doesn't really matter how much you love it, how long it was good for you. If it reaches this consistent level of frustration and anger, you walk away from it, you know? And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are, have they gotten to that point? I don't know, but it feels like, you know, in the last couple of weeks and in the last few weeks of the season, we have certainly talked about this idea far more than, you know, when I first joined the podcast, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. We've talked about it more in the last 4-5 weeks than we have. I mean, we started this season by arguing that Mike Tomlin is a good coach and that we are putting like so much blame on Mike T when it was genuinely like the players just weren't playing well. And now it's at a point where, I mean, the Steelers are 6-5. They're 2-4 in their last 6 games. And like, I don't think anybody really played terrible yesterday. I really don't. I think James Pierre played terrible. Shout out to James Pierre. But
how dare you?
It wasn't his best game. I was bummed. It wasn't his best game. But besides that, I mean, I don't think Mason played super well, but okay. So the backup corner and the backup quarterback were the reasons that you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anybody played awful. I think the Steelers are just a not great football team. I mean, I don't know. Do you feel differently there? Like, I genuinely watched that game yesterday and went, they don't look awful. They're just not good, you know, but they should be good. This is a lot of good players. They're just not good. They're just not good.
They're not good. They're not good. I have no disagreement. I stand here, I think, every day, and I love admitting when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I didn't try to look back through some of our episodes, because I remember saying on here when those pesky Baltimore Ravens were 1-5, I wouldn't be so sure about the AFC North being wrapped up, and I think a lot of people were like, that's a crazy thing to say. And I think my reasoning was something along the lines of, you think this Steelers team probably just isn't that good, and I
Yeah.
think we're seeing the the bell curve kind of coming back down, and I think that this team is just not very good. It was constructed in earnest by Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, right? Like, I don't fault them for making these certain choices. I don't think it should be a regretful sort of look at what transpired. You did a lot to get this team to be a contender. Hasn't materialized. Where the exact blame lies, we could have conversations about forever, but I think it's very clear. I don't think there's any more prove it games, right? Like, it's not like, oh, if they beat the Bills next week, all of a sudden it's maybe they're legitimate. No, it's just, are they gonna lose in the wild card round, or do we even have to bother watching it? That's where I'm at right now.
No, that's exactly where it is. Are they going to make the playoffs? You can't beat the Bills.
No.
You would have to win every game from now until the playoffs for me to actually look at the Steelers and say, "Oh, they might have turned it around." Because one game means nothing. Nothing. So what? So that they could continue to ride the roller coaster? Nobody cares about the roller coaster anymore. I think that's what it is we have hit the point of there is no more roller coaster that anybody's willing to get on. Nobody's excited for the roll. Nobody's like, oh man, dude, this is a Mike T team. They're always in it. No, nobody wants to just be in it anymore. They want to be good. They want to be a good football team. And just right now, they're not. I got a couple of questions that I want to ask you. Obviously, one of them is about the playoffs, and I'll ask that here in a second. Do you think that there's a legitimate shot that this year we do see the locker room? And it's never going to call out Mike T, but do you or the coaching staff? Like, I think Arthur Smith, like, what do we do? His best offensive drive yesterday was passes behind the line of scrimmage. That's not an offense. That's a backyard football game. Do you think that we get to a place where the locker room is lost? Not publicly, but lost.
No, I genuinely think what we've been touching on today, these Patrick Queen comments, these feelings of resignation, that is the lost when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and a Mike Tomlin locker room. And that's a little bit where I'm like, maybe we are not spoiled, but just incredibly lucky and privileged to have this be the feelings of loss, right? And to have these be the moments where it feels like the franchise is reaching a new chapter of lows, because they're still a winning team, but they're just not very good. So I don't think they're going to be completely lost to the sense of like, oh man, it's Brian Callahan in Tennessee, can't even go in the locker room anymore situation. It's not going to be anything dramatic like that.
No.
But I think maybe we will hear, we're not being put in the best positions, which that just kind of happens in the second half of the year, as the Steelers over the past 5 seasons or whatever it's been have been really bad after week 12 and 13.
All right. Next question I got for you. Do you think the Steelers miss the playoffs?
Ooh, do I think so? Yes.
They have an 18% chance to make the playoffs right now.
I think they do today, and I think it can change, in a snap, in a flash, for sure. But I wrote about this again today. The only way to get to the playoffs is winning the division. There's 10 teams in the AFC with at least 6 wins, and I would say 9 of those teams are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got to win your division if you're going to make the playoffs. You got to beat Baltimore twice, and that's a tough proposition. They split with the Bengals, it's a hard for me to envision right now, but again, you go week 14, you come out with a win over Baltimore, regardless of what happens against the Buffalo Bills. Suddenly there's life. And it's like, they might still be awful, but they could still have a chance. So right now I'm a no, but with a lot of reservation.
I don't think I have any reservation anymore. I think the Steelers are not a playoff team. I do not think they will win the playoffs. And I am very firmly, and I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong, obviously. But I'm very, very firmly in the belief that the Steelers are going to finish at 8-9 this season. And it will be the first losing record Mike Tomlin has as a head coaching tenure, and it is the beginning of the end. You can't fire Mike Tomlin off of one bad season, obviously. But what you can do is force a rebuild. And I think that's what comes with this. I think you have Aaron Rodgers and you go 8-9. Okay, that's it. There's no more veteran quarterbacks. This is a rookie quarterback or nothing. That's the only option you have. You have a defense that's worth $160 million and they stink because this is on pace to be Mike Tomlin's worst defense. Think about the names on this defense and how there are no holes. There are no holes on this defense. They filled them all in the offseason. And somehow it's the worst defense Mike Tomlin has ever had. I think that it forces massive decisions. Cam Hayward, Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Queen, all of the guys that are Alex Highsmith, all of the names that are like, yeah, they're good, but do you need them 2 years from now? Or do you need them right now? I think all of them are on the chopping block. Every single one of them. I think that's what comes from this. You got to beat Buffalo. I get it. Buffalo lost to Houston. Big whoop. Okay. The Steelers have lost to a bunch of teams. Even if you beat Houston, maybe, or beat Buffalo, maybe, but I don't see a win in Buffalo coming. I don't think you're going to beat Baltimore twice. You're probably going to beat Cleveland, because it's Cleveland and Shedeur is not awesome yet. And you're going to get smoked by Detroit. You might lose by 60 to Detroit. Miami might be the only guaranteed win you have left.
They beat the Bills, man.
Yeah, but that's a division game. So you have to again, there's so I agree. I don't disagree with you. I just have Tua under 40 degrees to me is like putting me out there. You know what I mean? Being like, go ahead, go play football, brother. I'd be like, dude, it's freezing cold out here. I'm not playing football. What are you doing? Like
my hands are chilly. I can't.
My hands are. That's what he's like, dude. There's not. Pasta's cold on the sideline. I can't play football. My pasta's cold.
My carbs are frozen. This is ridiculous. my brain's gonna shake, rattle, and roll all over the place.
Over the place. I just think that's what happens. I don't think the Steelers are a playoff team. I think this is actually their first losing season. We'll see what happens, but it's brutal times. I do have one more question for you.
Oh, okay.
Aaron Rodgers is expected to return this week against the Bills. We'll see what happens. I don't know what a week means with a fractured wrist. Like me and you watched that. We were texting beforehand. I made this known on the podcast last night. We were texting before the game. It's Mike Tomlin lying to the CBS broadcast team to say Mason took all the first team reps is nothing but that. A lie. Mason took some, but Aaron took a majority of the reps. It was Aaron. There was nothing to indicate Aaron Rodgers was not going to play. So if Aaron doesn't play against Buffalo, which I would expect him to now, but just in case he does not, is it time to go with Will Howard if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and see what you got in a 2026 quarterback? Because screw it. What's your other option? Throw the football underneath. Dude, Mason Rudolph threw 3 real passes yesterday. One of them was an interception to DK. The other one was over the middle to Benny Skoranek. And the third one had Roman Wilson for a touchdown, only he threw it 10 yards out of bounds and 15 yards in front of him in what would have won the game for the Steelers. If Aaron's out, do you go Will against the Bills?
I don't think there's much reason. Like, what do you need Aaron back in a rush for, right? Like, if you didn't want to play him against the Bears because you had to protect him from himself, well, why don't you protect him from himself for another week and play Will Howard? Like, I don't think there's any reason to rush if the importance. Like, what do you? I get it. It's an AFC game. That record could, determine some tiebreakers potentially, but let's be honest, it's just not going to matter if that's like the technical approach that Mike Tomlin and that's the chess they're playing. Like they're gonna get checkmated so hard, and it doesn't really make a difference. And I don't know, man. I just think it's let Will Howard play. Why do you need Aaron Rodgers to play immediately? Don't need Mason to play again. We're good. See you in 5 more years if you want to be a backup one more time. Like, that was bad.
That was bad. That was everything I said about Mason being a quality spot starter went out the door on the first pass that was thrown nowhere near DK. Like 30 yards behind DK, at minimum 30 yards behind DK, right into the arms of everybody's like, dude, fantastic play by the defender. Don't get me wrong. Great catch. Right to him, like right to the defender, not even close to DK. I agree with you 100%. What are you waiting for? What are you holding on to? Hope that you going into the game plan this week saying, well, Mason gives us our best opportunity to win. Does he? Like, because I don't know, man. I got a lot of faith Will Howard could throw to his right and to his left. I am fairly confident that he could one step screen pass. I am so confident in Will Howard to do that. And if that's the Steelers offense, I think he could run it well. I think he could. I think he genuinely could. And on top of that, and the Steelers would not admit this, but it's time to. Mason's not your starting quarterback in 2026, and I don't think Will Howard is either, but Will Howard's got a significantly bigger opportunity to be so than Mason does. And you might as well just see what you got, see what you got in the kid if he doesn't play, if Aaron doesn't play, because dude, Mason, like Mason might have lost his backup job in my eyes after that one. Like if Aaron ever did get like, seriously, this is not going to, he's out for a while hurt. You can't go back to Mason. Not after yesterday. No chance.
No. That was, I think it was Jerry Dulac who said that interception was more on DK than Mason, and maybe someone else. So and I need to someone someone in the local media had that opinion, and much respect to all those guys and gals, but no, was clearly a bad throw. And the only way DK could have caught that was if he was 7'4" and not 6'4". So yeah, I'm not really.
Yeah, 7'4" and 6'4" and ran a full second slower on the 40. Then it would have been perfect. It would have been a spot on pass. No, it's Will Howard all day. Do you think there's any chance Aaron doesn't play on Sunday?
No, which is even more annoying, in my opinion, because it's like, well, why couldn't he just? That you got to protect him, right? How to protect him from himself.
Yeah, I guess. I thought the flipping off of the cameras was it. Like once he flipped off I was like, oh, okay, Aaron's playing. He's fired up. No.
He's protecting everyone else from him.
Yes. Yeah. And
it's a shame he couldn't be immunized from wrist fractures. It's a real shame.
would have been out there, not in Pittsburgh, dude. We don't be doing that stuff. That stuff. All right, guys, that's everything on our agenda. With that said, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions, so make sure you toss them in the chat. We will be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough. If you got questions, toss them in the chat. Before we get going, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Cannot thank you guys enough for all that you do. We're going to start with good old macaroni salad. Eating nothing but buffalo wings for Thanksgiving till Sunday. Hey, would you like some turkey? Nah. You got any buffalo wings over there? Because that's all I'm eating all day long. I have, speaking of trash talk here, I have an uncle and a cousin who are both Chicago Bears fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they actually, my uncle texted me like right at the beginning of the game. And was like something, it was right after they scored the touchdown. He said something and I was like, all right, yeah, I get it. And I don't know if either of them watched the rest of the game because they both texted me, or if they were just drinking excessively and then it popped in their head. They both texted me at about 12:45 a.m. and was like, great day to be a Bears fan. And I was like, it was 6 hours ago, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Shout out. So shout out to Uncle Frank and Jake, dude. Hope you guys are doing well and recovering from whatever hangover you definitely have today, because it was probably a good time in the Mackey household there. Shout out to macaroni salad, buffalo wings till Sunday. We'll get into it on Wednesday, but what's your go-to on Thanksgiving? What's your meal on what's your favorite piece of a Thanksgiving meal?
Oh, it's side dishes all the time. It's
all day.
It's give me the mash, give me the, pass me the mash, pass me the mac and cheese. Again, I'm looking at my whiteboard menu, trying out a new one this year. Got a savory corn pudding recipe I'm gonna try out this year. And I am, who likes corn pudding and has two thumbs? This guy, so
that sounds fantastic. I'm a big corn guy. I love corn. So anything corn gets me just, I got tears in my eyes right now. That sounds delicious. Shout out to you and the family, man. The corn pudding I've never had. No, but corn, like a corn casserole. Catch me sitting there at the end of the night with a beer and the entire thing of corn casserole. Easy all day long.
Love it.
All day long.
Love it.
That sounds fantastic. I'm excited for a review on Friday. Christian, it's been over since the Packers and Chargers game. Pittsburgh Steelers need to clean up the coaching staff. I saw Debo, who had lots to say out there, say that he could see the entire coaching staff getting fired. Everybody, every single one of them. Do you right? Yeah, it's yes, right? I don't know. Do I say ask any other way? It's yes, right?
I mean, listen, the possibility has to be raised. Here's my one, I don't know if Debo is exactly like my source for what's going to happen next in the NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I do love the passion that he brings, and I think that he does provide a very realistic take on what some players might be feeling but not saying in that locker room. So yeah, I mean, look, if the Pittsburgh Steelers do truly fancy themselves to be a winning organization on every level and in every respect, if the season continues on the pace and trajectory that they are on right now, you just cannot accept it and go into 2026 with things looking similar. It just can't happen. That's not what a winning team does.
Yeah. I very much so agree. And I felt the same way last year, and I thought they changed it. So we'll see what happens next year. Two girls, one duff, too many mental errors. Tell me it's players, not coaches, getting too deep in their heads instead of playing naturally. I think I felt that way at the beginning of the season, that it was like it had to be the players, right? Like the players were just playing bad. And I think right now I just feel there are holes and no adjustments, and I think players trust their coaching staff, and it's very evident when they don't trust their coaching staff, and that leads to issues. And I kind of feel that's where they're at, is like nobody trusts what is happening and the success that they could have with it.
I think I just have a hard time getting behind the like this statement, the premise of this.
Mhm.
Like mental errors are, to me, I think a product of preparedness in a lot of ways. And I think preparedness does fall on players, or I'm sorry, on coaching, bringing the players what they need to do to prepare, and then they can execute. There's only so much you can execute if you don't have, you know, car can't go without gas. You can't go anywhere if you don't know where you're going, and can't move the car if you're not driving it. So, like, I think there are lots of room. There is lots of room to blame the players for their failure to execute, but I think there is equal, if not more, blame right now upon the coaching staff because we continue to come back to these same sorts of issues, regardless of the personnel roster wise, regardless of the attempts to change over and bring in new coordinators. And so, you can look at, you found every other clue, you turned over every other stone. The only possible thing remaining is like the head coach. So like, is that the change? I don't know, but it is the only thing that is remaining that has not changed.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. And the craziest part is like we've had this conversation so many times. I think that's what's so nuts to me is that we've had these conversations so many times. So many times.
So many times.
Maddie, do we let Aaron rest and see what Will has now? I mean, if Aaron's good enough to go, you play him. Like you play him because at this point, like screw it. You're not. I'm still not like full blown tank. I'll never be a tank guy. I think tanking's dumb. So it's just like, what can we do? Can we make it happen? Can we BS our way into a Super Bowl somehow and pull off the craziest nonsense ever? Maybe. I give it a 0% chance, but never say never. Mike Tomlin says that all the time. I would go Aaron if he plays. If Aaron doesn't play, I'm not even having the conversation. I'm putting Will out there and I'm seeing what he does. And chances are he's going to struggle. Buffalo's a good team, and you're in a hostile environment. And I get it, it's home, but it's like you're back against the wall. Fans are not happy. It's not like Acrisure Stadium's like a bumping place to be right now. It's a pretty scary place to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers because everybody is so peeved at them. But I would still want to see what I have in the guy and if there's something we could build off of. But that being said, if Aaron's good, I'm not resting Aaron. I'm not keeping Aaron long. I will run Aaron into the ground this season if need be.
For sure. Yeah, there's the only need for caution is, again, like, do you think if you play him, you risk losing him the rest of the season, right? And that's aside from that, there is no 2026 as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned, at least from the Pittsburgh Steelers perspective. And that's what, like, again, like, I do not understand why Tom, like, what are you protecting himself from? Like, and that is, it didn't seem like he was that limited or that bothered or that in pain working through stuff on a quote unquote limited participation before the Bears game. So it's just that why, assuming he has another week of the same amount of reps, the same amount of rest, he has to play. Otherwise, you are just tanking, and I don't really agree with that mindset either, or at least you can't outwardly state it. They might be, it'll be better for the Steelers in the long run to get a higher pick and maybe to jumpstart some change by having a losing record. But you can't just be like, you know what? Yeah, we've seen it. We get it. We see what you guys were seeing, so we're gonna suck now.
Hey, team meeting. We're benching everybody. We're just gonna suck for the rest of the season. TJ, I'm gonna need you to not do your thing anymore. Jalen, you could just keep sucking too. It'll be a good time. Steel DNA. James Harrison needs to be our DC. Watch his pod. James would probably kill Mike Tomlin. I seriously think that. I think that he would probably murder somebody on the sidelines. I'd be very, very nervous. Like very, very nervous. But I'm also open to anybody. I don't care who the defense. It could just put somebody else out there, like anybody, and tell them they control the defense. And maybe it changes.
Sure. You think that? I mean, yes. I would love if anyone else came in to be the defensive coordinator at this point, but I don't. I think what I want to see more is just this defensive identity change in some ways, and I think that starts with the head coach acknowledging that there needs to be true adjustments made to the schemes. I mean, he you know, he and Juan Thornhill were two people before the season who said that they had the pieces in place to do historic things, and they said that in one way or another in training camp. It's okay to be wrong. Again, I can
For
we come
sure.
on here and say it every day when we're wrong. We're wrong
Yeah.
a lot. Like, it's okay to be like, yeah, we built this thing in earnest, and it was just, oh god, we didn't even put any legs underneath this thing, and that's why it crumbled, you know. And then we got to try. That means we got to go about this a different way, and maybe it means that the 2-decade-long mentality that has defined Mike Tomlin's career defensively isn't the best way forward
Yep.
into the third decade of his coaching career. And I don't think
Yep.
that's a crazy thing to come to, or a crazy conclusion to come to, and to change your behavior off of.
I think that's when we know Mike T is officially on the hot seat. The day that he relieves play calling duties to a defensive coordinator, and we know that that's a thing. That's when Mike T knows his job's on the line. Is when he gives it up as like a last ditch effort to say, all right, well, let's see if somebody else could save my job for me, because I'm not going to be able to do it. ND Joe, some brutal truth spoken by Debo on his pod today. He said they came out in the second half and quote, shit down their leg. Truer words have never been more evident. Bad decisions and no adjustments. He also called the defense soft, which is crazy to think that a defense that has the names that the Steelers have is a soft defense. But it is very, very true. I would never say the word soft because I value my life, but it is not a. You have Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, like Kyle Duggar, even names that are known in the NFL. They'll punch you in the teeth. They won't second guess it at all. But Debo's right. He's not wrong here. Like, Debo is pretty spot on. I don't know if you watched that podcast. It's a lot of him just yelling, but in a very professional, shout out, it's a very entertaining way. You know, Debo knows how to yell. Debo knows how to scare the absolute crap out of you while keeping you fully engaged for the right reasons. But I didn't disagree with a word that he said.
He's absolutely right. There's a big difference. And again, you know, far be it for this sports writer guy in his basement to call an NFL player soft, right? Like that's not lost on me in this conversation. But what James Harrison says and the way he went about playing in the NFL is a very different mentality, modus operandi of going through things than a lot of the current NFL players operate. And in a lot of ways it's better, and in some ways it is not. And I think there are some moments where you see a sort of lack of, I don't know, ferocity to try to make it sound better. And I think that is something that maybe the times have changed, or maybe the game of football has changed, but it just seems like there are less and less Debos in the NFL and more, I don't know. I was gonna say Marcus Allen, but
shout out, dude. Shout out to Marcus. That was my guy. Okay. Shout out to Marcus Allen. Good dude. Hope he's doing well wherever he is. Just being a model. Doing his stuff.
Out.
Just hanging out, dude. Just chilling, dude. Marcus Allen was my guy. Shout out. But I agree. I don't disagree with you at all. And they all it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have words, because if that's where the NFL is going, then it clearly means that you have to be schematically better and a better athlete and so on. It's no longer a punch in the mouth type of league. And if that's the case, the Steelers are still trying to punch in the mouth, and they're just getting roasted in the process. Macaroni salad. I think the Tomlin Kool-Aid is getting watered down with the players. Yeah, I look at it and say that the Steelers went so all in this offseason to create a good team that it was a boom or bust situation. This was the first time where there were no excuses. You know, there was no, well, Russ stinks. it's Aaron Rodgers, you know? Oh, well, you don't have a wide receiver. You traded a second-round pick for DK Metcalf and then handed him $150 million. And then you spent the entire summer talking about how you have 3 tight ends who are technically your wide receiver 2, and then 2 guys in Calvin and Roman that you really trust. You went out and replaced Minkah Fitzpatrick with Jalen Ramsey. You went out and got Darius Slay as your other starting corner, and you made the words, "We're going to man everybody," so viral that you had to stand on them. You drafted a first-round defensive tackle and a 5th-round defensive tackle. You have 4 quality edge rushers and 4 decent inside linebackers. And you're not that good. You're not that good. That's where they're at. I think this was you went all in and it busted. It got bad.
Yeah. The one thing that I will, I guess, not stand by, or that I think, remains throughout all of this, is that these players, they love Mike Tomlin, right? Like, the message might they might disagree with the message, right? Like, the thing I took away from what Patrick Queen was saying post game is that he wouldn't call it this way, right? But there was no animosity in that. There is no sort of, even, George Pickens, I know we talk about him every day. We try not to, but like his letter is letter to the Steelers, or to the Players Tribune or whatever, was about how much he likes Mike Tomlin still. And you, like, they had to have had a lot of confrontational conversations in their working relationship. Like, the respect, the praise for Mike Tomlin, I don't see that going away, regardless of how downhill this season goes, or if the opposite happens, right? Like, I don't think the faith in Mike Tomlin as the coach wavers, even as there is, more reason to doubt.
I very much so agree. I want to clarify my words that the Mike Tomlin Kool-Aid, in my eyes, is only getting watered down in the fan base, not the players. You're spot on.
It's so diluted in the fan base. You know what I mean? They put all the water in and didn't even dump half the packet in. You know what I mean? And you're like, whoa.
It's just water. It's just they just water. Served it. No, they put a picture out there, and you were like,
crazy.
Is this the clear Kool-Aid? What do we? How did we get here? What is this salty one? Cody Silva, trade DK for Jameis Winston. At least he could catch the ball and score touchdowns. Jameis could be our wide receiver 1. He could throw the ball, then run down and catch it. Shout out to Jameis Winston, who had maybe the most hard-fought touchdown the Steelers have seen all season, from a distance. So shout out to Jameis. I don't even think DK. I can't even say DK played bad yesterday, because I don't think he did play bad yesterday. I think he did fine when he caught the football on the line of scrimmage. That he played really well when that was the game plan. And that was the game plan. That was the game plan, was how many times can we throw it for negative yards?
Do you think when Arthur Smith sits down, I assume it's like I'm picturing like a table that has like the tablecloth that goes over it that your kids can color on, and he's doing his skadoodles on how to, like, the plays to run that week. Do you think he just looks at the middle of the field and he's like, maybe one day? Or do you think he's like, do you think they actually plan to move the ball over the middle of the field and continue to not get to that primary option, not get to that secondary option? Or do you, like, there was not even a pass attempt over the middle of the field yesterday for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think they have like 3 this year. You know what I mean? Like, they are scared of it once again. Is it a scheme thing? Is it a offensive line failure? It's not like Aaron Rodgers doesn't know how to throw down the middle of the field. That was going to be the big solution he brought this year.
Yep.
Mason Rudolph couldn't throw it further away from the middle of the field. Even when he tried to go deep, he threw it out of bounds. Like, it
multiple times.
It's crazy.
I mean, remember when we talked about it in the offseason that Mike T reportedly tells his offensive coordinators not to throw over the middle of the field because that's where mistakes happen. That's where turnovers happen. Does it all lead back to the same starting point here? Like, it's crazy if it does, but does it all lead back? Like, It just doesn't exist. It really doesn't. Did you see the George Pickens catch map or whatever? Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where he's got 143 yards catching the football over the middle of the field, and he's got nothing over in Pittsburgh where he's catching all his passes. They all just look like this. They just, oh, my pen's dead. Of all the times for my pen to die. That's the map. That's the map right there. It's ridiculous. That's his Steelers map. It just doesn't make any sense, and none whatsoever. None whatsoever. William, we shouldn't waste any draft capital trading up to get a franchise quarterback if Tomlin is our head coach next year. That's such a difficult conversation because, like, I hear it. I hear where people will come from with this, saying, well, if that's not going to be your head coach for the next 10 years, why are you getting a quarterback for the next 10 years? Because once you get another head coach, he's not going to want that guy. But you can't wait. You can't wait to see if Mike Tomlin just continues to lead 9-8 football teams. You know, like, you got to try. You have to go get a quarterback.
And here's I think maybe the call it the side of this. I make the argument a franchise quarterback can just elevate Mike Tomlin from where he is right now, not the other way around, right? Like, yes. You can tell me, like, if you're in a camp that Brady made Belichick, like, I don't know if I agree 100%, but I think the argument holds a ton of water. If you are like, you know, Matthew Stafford is the reason Sean McVay is such a good coach right now, like, I'm not going to say you're totally wrong. It's not the only reason, but a good quarterback elevates and transforms a head coach just as much as a head coach transforms and elevates a franchise quarterback. So I think if you find the guy, it's not so much like, oh man, Tomlin's going to ruin him. They might make each other better. You know, like, yes. I don't think Mason Rudolph doesn't come in here and provide anything of worth. Aaron Rodgers 10 years ago would have provided a franchise quarterback's energy and mentality, but now he's on his retirement tour. So, like, what's he, he's too busy trying to flip people off if he, so they don't see his cast. And I think that, I think Mike Tomlin, the argument that Mike Tomlin might ruin whoever comes in here if they were to draft my favorite guy, Lenora Sellers or something like that, like, sure, maybe, but also just maybe that franchise quarterback is the inspiration and catalyst for a head coach resurgence, which is also something that happens in the NFL. So I don't, there's a couple ways to look at this, I'd say.
Shout out to Jacob for bringing some positivity over here. 2 girls, 1 duff. No, not liking the negativity this morning. And to start today, we're speaking as if we sent our entire healthy starting D and O. We still have 2 with Baltimore. Worst case, split. No, worst case scenario is the Steelers get swept by Baltimore and things get real bad. Real bad. Everybody is definitely entitled to their own opinion. And those who sit here and say the Steelers are still a good team and there's still a long season left, I won't argue against you. Like, I will not sit here and say that I think the Steelers could not pull it off. I don't feel they're going to. I feel as if we've seen this circus 100 times, and 100 times it has turned out the same way. So until proven otherwise, I do not sit here with that same belief. However, I do not judge those or feel differently from those who do. I do not sit here. I will not argue against you and try to prove the other way around, because that's dumb. I would hope that it does turn around. Chances are it's not gonna, in my eyes.
I would love for it to turn around. I don't think there's much reason to, based off of 11 games of evidence. Yes.
Keeping it trucking here. Lone Wolf, throw Asante in there. We still have a shot to win the AFC North. Asante Samuel Jr. should 100% be playing this week, just because screw it. Why not? Like, screw it. Why not? There are no excuses left for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are we waiting for anything for? Nothing. There's no more waiting. It's week 13 of the NFL season. Put everything you got on the field. See if it works, See if it works. If Joey Porter's out, which he might be with a hip, you have to play Asante. Do you think they will?
Well, this is a prime opportunity for Darius Slay to really reassert himself. So let's not look at his face. He's so mad. Yeah, I think Asante Samuel has to play. What do you have to lose? MVS might not make the train to the next game. They might leave him at the hotel, but
Dude,
you should play
MVS
him.
is the Polar Express left years ago, dude.
They keep
Years
telling him the
ago.
wrong time, the wrong day for practice. They keep telling, they're like, hey, you're going to
Yep.
go down the Wolverina in Turtle Creek, and that's where you're going to practice. And he's keeps showing up like, what's going on? This is crazy.
Where is
I left my family vacation in the Poconos for this. This is crazy. Why did I do this?
I see MVS as the kid that's running to the Polar Express and then he falls. And then instead of the train stopping, it just keeps going. And it's Mike T's face laughing at him as it pulls away. And MVS just staring from the snow. That's what's happening here. It's not going to happen. Asante Samuel, I don't know if he's going to, but I agree that he should. Diamond, we need a quarterback that gives us what Lamar, Burrows, and Sanders gives our division rivals. We need Chambliss or Sellers. Shout out to official Drewski, which I really hope that this is real. I hope this is actually Drewski. Lenore Sellers. I mean, there is that. I agree. I don't disagree with this. I don't. If you're going out to get, if you end up in Pittsburgh with another Mason Rudolph, burn the ship, burn the whole ship. Because what do you do? It's 2025, people. There's one type of quarterback, and that quarterback does a lot of things, more than one thing.
I love Lenore Sellers. You know this. We know this.
Yes.
I would absolutely be thrilled if they could somehow find a way to land him. And I just think it gives you a shot. I think there are a lot of players who I don't think you have to go out of your, like, there's so many positions to address in the draft, right? Like, I think my mindset right now is you get the best player you can with whatever your first round pick is. It seems like there's going to be some quarterbacks here. Like maybe, you got your Mendozas, you got your Dante Moore from Oregon is like shooting up the rankings now. Like those are probably your top 10 guys. But then after that, there's a lot of difference of opinions on where guys could fall, who's going back, who's not coming out of the NCAA. If you can get one of these guys that provides some upside in a different skill capacity and set of skills than Will Howard to bring into camp next year, go for it, man. I think that would be great.
I agree. I think it would be incredible. I don't know if it's I have no idea what's gonna happen. No idea. Leroy, I kind of want to see a Dan Quinn in this coaching staff as defensive coordinator, maybe head coach. Is it Dan Quinn the head coach of the
Commanders?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, he is the head coach of the Commanders. So that's not going to happen. That would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. He would never leave Jaden Daniels, to come coach anyone ever. And if he did, I'd tell him to his face, you are dumb and you made a dumb decision because that's dumb. Shout out. I do like it though. Don't disagree with it.
You did it dumb.
Dougie Frustrated. From the original Dougie Fresh here. The organization has made so many changes over the past 5 years, GM, OC, DC, and others with almost the same end game. There's only one change they haven't made, and it's time. How many times do we have the same conversation? It's a genuine question. It's a question we've all had many times. We'll probably continue to have many times. I will tell you, I don't think Mike Tomlin gets fired after the season. I don't. Even if they didn't win another game, I don't think Mike Tomlin gets fired after the season. The Steelers aren't going to fire him after one bad year, but I do think that it would open the door that after his contract is up, it's over, and potentially after next season, if things don't get turned around, I think it could be over. But that depends on how they finish this year. That depends on how they finish this year, which is unfortunate, but it depends on how they finish the year. Do you think that there's do you think if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, it's got the same effect?
I think it has the same effect in the conversation surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it makes a difference from an organizational perspective. Like I think if Steelers don't win another game, right? If they go 6-11 to finish the season, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, that's bad. That's really bad. But if they go, I don't know, 9-8, 10-7, whatever, sneak into the playoffs, lose in that first wild card game, I think the Roonies are like, yeah, we almost had it. It's just hard to win. Only one team can win, and that's how they kind of give the wiggle room to bring him back for another year.
Oh, I feel the same way, and it's just I've been there. You know what I mean? I've been at those conversations. I've been at the Rooney table, and it's wild. It's wild. Russian Cream, is there a rebuild coming? If so, who gets traded for draft capital? I think the names that I mentioned. I think after this season, the following names are very likely candidates to be removed from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Broderick Jones, Alex Highsmith, Patrick Queen, Jalen Ramsey. I think Cam Hayward, as crazy as it sounds, is on that list. I genuinely do. Jonnu Smith, for sure. I'd be stunned if Jonnu's here next year. That's the 6 big ones. To me, that's the 6 big ones that I think could be, that are all under contract for more than a season, that I think could be gone before 2026.
Mm-hmm. I think Cam Hayward, I'm assuming you meant that he like retires.
Yeah, they forced a retirement on him.
Yeah, because I don't think there's much draft capital to acquire if you were able
you're not
to trade
trading
him.
him. It's a you got to go, brother. It's over.
Yeah, I agree with that. Highsmith for sure. He feels like the obvious one and the most likely.
Yes. 2 girls, 1 duff. Why Buddy broke his arm in high school? We've been saying it all day, bro.
I missed it earlier.
Why Buddy broke his arm in high school? Oh, my buddy broke his arm in high school. He played running back and linebacker. It took them a couple of weeks to get him a brace that would heal the fracture and could be functional to play and formed so that I could hand him the football. I think Aaron went through that, but I also think that Aaron was ready. So I mean, we'll see tomorrow. We'll see more tomorrow on what he looks like, or Wednesday on what he looks like. But it kind of felt like he had the brace and he was ready to go. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean this as a dig at like your high school football athletic staff, but like the Steelers have to have better. Like, like they got to have some, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to think, I mean, Canada's dope, don't get me wrong, but like professional team doesn't have like a doctor. There's like sitting there just like, I sprayed it with Bactine. I think I got it. I think that's good.
Try this one next. We only have 3, but try them. No, you have an MRI machine in the building. You have braces. I agree. Leroy, should the Steelers bring back A-Rod as an offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach? I mean, sure. You want to bring A-Rod back as a quarterbacks coach?
No.
Why?
I want it to be done so bad.
What if they had a new head coach and then he hired Aaron as a quarterbacks coach?
I'd be so annoyed. I'd be like, don't send me on Thursdays.
No, you'd be a quarterbacks coach. You only talk once a week, once a year. You talk to Tom Arth once a year.
That'd be better. I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah,
every time. I'd be fine with that.
You can't get rid of Arthur Smith. I love Arthur Smith. I love listening every Thursday and being like, this makes no sense, but I'm having a blast. I'm having such a good time here. This is a good time.
When I hear Arthur Smith talk, I think of when Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girls is like, my father, the inventor of toaster strudel, would not like hearing this.
Shout out, dude. Shout out to FedEx. We'll never use them again. They're a good time. 88 Starboy. And just Leroy, to answer your question, I would bring back A-Rod as a quarterbacks coach. Offensive we got to start slow, work our way up here. You don't want to, what's the guy, Antonio Pierce, this situation where he's, but I'd also have a blast. I'm the other side of Jacob. You put me in a room with somebody that is going to annoy the heck out of everybody else, I'm gonna have a blast. I got that guy, because I was in there like, yeah, this is awesome.
We are so
great.
different.
Yes, we are. 88 Starboy should have took Baker when he was available. I don't disagree with this. Should have took Baker when he was available. 100%. Yep. No questions about it. Hannibal, start Howard next year. If he flops, we land a high draft pick for a top quarterback. We can also trade up in the draft too. Trade Watt or Highsmith 2026. Draft a wide receiver. Don't trade TJ Watt. It's the one name I'm not giving up on yet. Don't trade TJ Watt. Alex Highsmith, yes, I think that's very much so going to happen. I also like him. I am okay if you want to start Will Howard next season with the full understanding that chances are you win 5 games, and that's cool. It's cool. Sounds good. Set yourself up for the Lenore Sellers in 2027, baby. Let's go. I'm all about it.
I got no issue with this team being bad for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Like it's not enjoyable, right? Of course,
No,
I get that. Yeah, but like I don't know, man. Everyone, you gotta be bad at some point.
Yep.
It's been a long time since the Steelers have been truly, truly bad.
Yes, I agree. Tortellini salad. What do we get in return for Highsmith and the rest you mentioned? I don't think you get anything for Cam. I think Patrick Queen, you might get a 5th round draft pick for. Jalen, you might get a 4th round draft pick for. Alex, I think Alex is your best return, to be honest. I think Alex would get you a 3rd round pick, to some team that doesn't trust his injury history and thinks that they could solve it. The rest of them, I think anywhere from the 5th to the 7th round. That's what you're not getting much for these guys. You're not. This is a clean house because you're just looking to restart, not for any other reason. That's exactly what it is. You're getting rid of Minka because you want to bring in a Jalen type of situation. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, you're not getting all the pieces you need to make that next blockbuster trade to move up in the draft. It's not the long con sort of game here. It's going to be, oh man, that's what they got back, but that's what they're going to get back.
So they're going to get back. Idiot Starboy. Steelers need to build the offensive starting with the line, then quarterback, then receiver, switch to passing O, and all players need to fit the scheme. All players, they need to come up with the scheme. That would be the best way to start this. I also think the offensive line just needs a tackle and a guard, and I think Spencer Anderson's going to be the guard. So I think you draft a guard to eventually compete with Spencer Anderson. But yeah, I think you want to know where I start? Find an identity and then say, this is what we want to do. And this is great. Because right now the offensive identity is put the ball in Jonnu Smith's hands at the line of scrimmage. And let's see if we could get 4 yards. And hopefully we do that enough times to win.
Look at that. That's an offense, baby.
That's an offense. Macaroni Salad sent Noah an email about a possible get-together at my sister's farm in Conway the Wednesday before the draft next year. Macaroni Salad, honestly did not realize that you actually had a spot. Hopefully he mentions it for sure. Don't know if that's where it's going to be, but I do think next year before the draft, we will have to do a members meetup. That would be awesome. Would be super excited to see all you guys. Dougie Fresh, Steelers have made many changes the last 5 years. Oh, sorry. Let Tomlin walk. Shout out. Poke through cover 3 Swiss salad. Unbelievable. I don't always run cover 3, but when I do, it's always cover 3 failed for. It's always after cover 3 failed for weeks. So I switched to cover 2 and balled out. Can't be predictable. Shout out, dude. Shout out.
Football's tough. It's a extremely complicated game.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Salad Bar Sneeze Guard. What is your thoughts? All Steelers receiver 1,000 yards this season and Pickens 1,044. I think the Dallas Cowboys stink and throw the football all the time. But I also my thoughts have never changed. It's always the same thing it's always the same response to these questions. The Steelers did not trade George Pickens because he stinks. They traded George Pickens because they could not stand the guy anymore. And I understand that maybe that was not the best idea on the football field. I get it. George also wanted the hell out of here. So I think George is good. You know what I mean? I think Dallas's offense is better than the Steelers, obviously. I don't think Dallas is better than the Steelers. I think they both stink. But I don't think George fixes this team. I don't. I think he has 400 yards this season like DK Metcalf, and he's pissed off because I don't think DK has 500 yards in Dallas right now. I think he's got 1,000 yards in Dallas. That's what I think he has. I think it is the Steelers.
Correct. And you'd be right.
Yes. As we are. as one typically is. Nate Moore, how nervous is the media to ask questions after games like yesterday? Ramsey looked ready to fight the reporters. I did want to answer this one. We honestly not. It's always during the cameras, when the cameras are on, guys are usually pissed off. It's not fun. But like before and after, everybody's real cordial. The media obviously is very well aware that these guys are not happy. So it's not like we walk in there like, hey, dude, what's up? Oh, my God. You did. No, you're like, hey, Jalen, can we talk to you for a second? Yeah, all right, cool. We're gonna bother you for, we're gonna piss you off. We get it. But afterwards, we're all people. So it's not as scary as one would think. It's not as scary as one would think. Now, I wasn't around for the James Harrison days. That's a different story. Roger Steeler, fire Tomlin and Khan, bring in Belichick, give him complete control and trust the process. No. You could give me a lot of names that I'd say, I'd be open to that one. Belichick is a terrible. No. I'm not giving his girlfriend control of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just not happening.
He maybe the greatest coach ever, one of the greatest coaches ever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No thanks. I'll pass.
No. I don't think he's got it anymore. I think he's well past his glory days. And yeah, exactly. And things are just gonna no. Rasta pasta salad. Do you think Arthur Smith will leave after this season? If so, who will be candidates for offensive coordinator? I don't really have candidates for offensive coordinator right now. I think it's really difficult to guess offensive coordinators middle of the season, because you could guess, you got to go look at like quarterback coaches and running backs coaches. And, here, I'll give you a name. Thomas Brown, tight ends coach for the New England Patriots, I think is going to be a guy that people are looking at for an OC job after the season. I think whoever the quarterback's coach is in New England is going to be up for an OC position after the season. Follow the breadcrumbs of good quarterbacks and good positions and big names, and that's usually how it works. But I do think Arthur Smith, one way or another, leaves after the season. I don't think Arthur Smith's around in 2026.
Yeah, I agree. The only person that strikes me is Tom Arth, but that's an internal hire.
Yeah,
that would make everyone so mad.
I agree. I think it honestly bothered me too. Right now, I think it would. Pittsburgh Hornets. I asked this question last year when both the Pens and Steelers look bad. Which teams, Pens, Steelers, or Pirates, will advance in the playoffs first? The Penguins. It's the Penguins.
Yeah. I mean, I don't expect either. 26, that's for sure.
The Penguins at least got the pieces, though. You know what I mean? They got some pieces here.
They at least understand how to get there.
That's yeah. They're like, you want to know what we should do for a couple? Suck. We should suck. We should be really bad. Yeah. Everybody's like, whoa, hold up. Did the Penguins just reinvent the wheel? Is that what they just did? No, they did not. Sean, I would like to ask a question, though. I hear all these people saying we should trade Mike Tomlin for a first-round pick. Would you honestly give up a first-round pick for this bozo? I think you could get a first-round pick with ease from Mike Tomlin. He's the most well-respected coach in the NFL. If you were the Steelers trading for Mike Tomlin, no, because you understand what's coming. But if it was the other way around, yeah, easy.
Bozo's a great insult.
Oh, it's the best. It's my go-to for road rage is bozo.
Freaking bozo.
You bozo, dude. Stop being a bozo. You know what I mean? You get a little chuckle out of it. You're not being too mean. Blessed Light. Glad the wheels are falling off early so we don't have to get our hopes up for a playoff run. Don't jinx things.
Dude,
don't jinx things.
Here's how shocked will you be if 3 weeks from now they've won 3 games and they're all of a sudden they're a playoff team? You know what I mean? I won't be shocked if that happens. I don't think they're good. I don't think it's going to. But this team's MO in a lot of ways is to give you a lot of thrills late in the season.
Yes. Pistachio salad. Hey, Noah, found an email for you to reach out. Unsure if it was the correct one. Also not sure if it was the correct one. I don't want to toss it out here because then I'll get a billion emails. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. But I also use emails for different things. But Pistachio salad, if you go to the membership page, there should be an email there that you can use. I will check my emails today to see if I got it. If not, I'll try to remind you tomorrow. But I appreciate you either way. Starboy, can't wait for the call-in show on Wednesday. Me neither. Wayne Jones, Noah. Tomlin's December record is 44-26. Better than I thought. Need 3 wins to catch 8.5 wins. And see, Wayne is the guy that's thinking money, and I like that guy. I like the thought process here. It's not about making the playoffs. It's about cashing the 8.5 over. That's what it is.
You're right. You're right.
That's what it is. And another example of why the chaos can't continue. Tyrone, what's your final score record? Mine's 8-9. I will stand firmly on. I think the Steelers go 8-9.
I'll say 9-8. I don't think it's a losing season, but I think it's just as bad.
At one point, Jacob, we were 13-3. No, 14-3 and 13-4. That was real life for us.
Idiots.
Black Magic, who has a better record, Gruden or Tomlin? I do believe it's Tomlin.
Tomlin has more wins.
Yeah, for sure.
Tomlin, I will bet, has a better win-loss record.
Yeah, for sure.
I bet I can find it real quick.
I agree. I don't think that comparing Gruden and Tomlin is like a win, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that Gruden is like is a gold standard of anything. Yeah, there's a lot of Gruden talk. A lot of people are like, John Gruden.
He's like funny now?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, I gotta like him in the spot that he's in. You know what I mean? Once in a while, he pops up on my TikTok feed, just like, look, I just got a box from Ole Miss. I remember in '62 when Lane Kiffin came out of his mom's womb, I was there, and he got 3 touchdowns. Like, that's where
there.
John Gruden fits best in that role. That's where John Gruden should be, enjoying life as he does. God,
Tomlin has 189 wins. Gruden has 117.
That's astonishing. Actually, I did not expect it to be that different. But shout out to Mike T, man. Shout out to Mike T. Pittsburgh Hornets start, bench, cut, pumpkin pie, stuffing, and mashed potatoes. This is how we'll end this one today, and it's the best way to end it.
I could never. You can never get me to get rid of those mashed potatoes and gravy. Love it. What, you see something cool?
We'll go back to it here in a second. You're starting the mashed potatoes and gravy
every time, brother. Every time. I got a bench pumpkin pie because you can't leave me without a sweet on Thanksgiving Day, and I'm getting rid of stuffing, which is crazy.
Wow,
craziness.
That is such a bold move. I respect it. I don't disrespect it. I'm starting stuffing, dude. I'll eat stuffing all day. It's just bread with sausage in it. You know what I mean? And that's to me, that's beautiful. That's beautiful times. But I don't disagree with yours. I'm starting stuffing. I agree with you. I think you got to bench pumpkin pie because I need my sweets, dude. I need my eggnog at the end of the night. I need some sweets. Nothing goes better with 15 beers than a glass of eggnog at like 8 p.m. You know what I mean? Nothing's like, all right, honey, time for bed. Let me drink my eggnog here with some pumpkin pie. That's like nothing does it. And then I don't feel good about this. I think somewhere in the Book of America, I've been sworn to treason or something. But mashed potatoes would get cut only because I only have 3 choices here. And it was tough. That's a good one. All right. Now look up their playoff records.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited. And then we'll finish it off with Rasta pasta salad afterwards.
Come on, Pro Football Reference.
Good old Pro Football Reference.
Shout out.
If I had to guess, Gruden's got they both have a Super Bowl.
Mike Tomlin's playoff record's 8-11, so like that ain't it.
It's not very good. It's not very good at all.
Gruden is only coached in 9 playoff games. He's 5-4.
All right.
They each only have 1 Super Bowl.
Shout out. I don't think either of them are my top choice to be the Steelers head coach in 2026.
Agreed.
Rasta pasta salad. What will be your reaction if the Steelers win the rest of their games?
Told you.
Yeah, like side. Yeah, like not crazy at all. Not crazy at all. It would take me until all right, Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, then Cleveland. I think if you no, then Baltimore again, excuse me. I think it's
Miami, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore.
if you could get through Detroit winning, that's when I'm like, oh, okay, this team might actually they might turn it around. This is real. Detroit's my mark. That's
Win 4 straight.
Yeah, against some good teams. Against some good teams to pull it off. That's where I sit. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. No, we'll send all subscribers a t-shirt if they win out. Yeah, we'll just mass produce. We'll just mass produce like I was wrong t-shirts. It can't happen, but I like the idea. I do like the idea. All right, guys, with that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. As always, find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Hit that like button before you head out of here. And with that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.